The desperate call. The crimson sky above New Geneva burned with the afterglow of orbital bombardment. Commander Sarah Chen watched through the reinforced glass of the Global Defense Command as another wave of Corvin warships descended through Earth's atmosphere. Their sleek obsidian hulls rippled with energy shields that had proven impervious to humanity's most advanced weaponry. "Status report," Chen commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos erupting around her. "Planetary shields at 17% and falling, Commander," Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. "We've lost contact with the lunar bases. The Mars colony went dark 3 hours ago." Chen gripped the railing of the command platform. Earth had always known it wasn't alone in the universe, but first contact hadn't come through peaceful exploration or diplomatic channels. It had come through conquest. The Corvin Empire had arrived 6 months ago, demanding Earth's immediate surrender to their galactic dominion. When humanity refused, they began their systematic assault. "Commander, the Australian defense grid just went offline," another officer announced. "The Corvins are deploying ground forces across the Pacific region." Chen turned to face her assembled staff. These were Earth's finest military minds, scientists, and strategists. Now they stood at the precipice of humanity's potential extinction. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've exhausted all conventional options. It's time to implement Protocol Omega." A heavy silence fell over the command center. Protocol Omega was humanity's last resort, a desperate gambit that would broadcast Earth's plight across the galaxy, pleading for aid from any civilization willing to help. It was an admission of defeat, but also a final hope. Dr. Elena Vasquez, head of the Xenocommunications Division, stepped forward. "Commander, we have no guarantee anyone will answer. The galactic community has remained silent throughout our conflict with the Corvins. They might view us as too primitive to warrant intervention." "Then we'll make them listen," Chen replied. "Initialize the quantum transmitters. Broadcast on all known frequencies. If there's even a chance someone out there might help, we have to take it." The massive transmitter arrays around the globe hummed to life, channeling Earth's remaining power reserves into a single desperate message. Chen personally oversaw the transmission, her words echoing across the void. "This is Earth, third planet of the Sol system. We are under attack by the Corvin Empire. Our defenses are failing. Our people are dying. We call upon any civilization with the means and compassion to aid us. We offer friendship, alliance, and gratitude to any who answer our plea. Please, help us." The message pulsed outward at faster than light speeds, carrying humanity's hope into the darkness between stars. For hours, there was only silence. The Corvin assault continued unabated, their forces methodically dismantling Earth's remaining defenses. Then, unexpectedly, a response came. The communication wasn't from any of the known galactic powers. It came from the edge of mapped space, from a region most stellar cartographers labeled as uncharted or hazardous. The signal was unlike anything Earth scientists had encountered. It seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission," Dr. Vasquez announced, her voice tinged with both excitement and apprehension. "But it's strange. The quantum signature doesn't match any known civilization." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a being unlike anything in Earth's xenobiological databases. The creature appeared to be composed of shifting crystalline structures that pulsed with internal light. When it spoke, its voice resonated directly in the minds of everyone present. "Humans of Earth," the being said, its tone carrying an otherworldly harmony. "We are the Zenari. We have heard your call across the cosmic web. We come not to save you, but to warn you." Chen stepped forward, confusion evident on her face. "Warn us? We're facing extinction. The Corvin's heir." "The Corvins are merely catalysts," the Zenari interrupted. "Your species carries a dormant potential that the galaxy has long feared. The Corvin's aggression may awaken what has slept within humanity for millennia. We have come to witness whether you will embrace your true nature or perish in denial of it." Before Chen could demand clarification, alarms blared throughout the command center. Multiple new contacts appeared on the strategic displays, not Corvin ships, but vessels from other alien civilizations. The Thrakeri hegemony, the Vorthan collective, even the enigmatic silence bearers had arrived in Earth's system. "They're not here to help," Rodriguez observed grimly. "Their weapons are powered and targeting Earth." The Zanari's crystalline form pulsed brighter. "The galaxy remembers, even if humanity has forgotten. Your ancestors were not native to this world. They were exiled here, their warrior instincts suppressed, their memories altered. But trauma has a way of awakening old truths." Chen felt a strange sensation building within her, not fear, but something primal and powerful. Around the command center, she noticed similar changes in her staff. Their postures straightened, their eyes sharpened, and an almost palpable energy began to emanate from them. "What are you talking about?" Chen demanded, though part of her already sensed the answer. "Earth was meant to be a prison," the Zanari explained, "a place where the most feared warriors in galactic history could be contained and pacified. But prisons can become forges and suppression can become strength. The Corvins have made a fatal error. They have reminded humanity of war." The tactical display showed the alien armada closing in, their weapons charging for a coordinated strike that would reduce Earth to molten rock. But something was happening to the humans in the command center and across the planet. Ancient genetic locks were breaking, dormant neural pathways were activating, and a species-wide transformation was beginning. Chen felt her perception expanding, her mind processing tactical data at impossible speeds. Her body felt stronger, more resilient, as if evolution itself was accelerating within her cells. She looked at her hands and saw faint patterns of light dancing beneath her skin. The same kind of energy signatures the most advanced alien technologies produced. "All stations, report," she commanded, her voice carrying a new resonance. The responses came not just from Earth, but from the supposedly destroyed lunar bases and Mars colony. Humanity wasn't being destroyed, it was awakening. The Corvin ground forces that had landed in Australia were no longer advancing. Reports indicated they were retreating in panic from human civilians who had suddenly developed abilities that defied their understanding of biological limits. A communication came through from the Corvin flagship. The once arrogant admiral appeared on screen, his forearms trembling, his compound eyes wide with what could only be described as terror. "What are you?" The admiral gasped. "Our scans. Your genetic structure is rewriting itself. Your neural activity exceeds any known sapient species. This is impossible." Chen smiled, but it wasn't a human expression anymore. It was the smile of a predator remembering how to hunt. "You wanted to conquer Earth. Congratulations. You've awakened something that should have stayed asleep. We tried to be peaceful. We tried to be civilized. But you've reminded us what we really are." The Zanari's form flickered, preparing to retreat to a safe distance. "The seal is broken. What was suppressed is now free. The galaxy will soon learn why your species was feared above all others. We will observe from afar." As the alien fleets prepared for their assault, humanity underwent its metamorphosis. Military personnel found themselves understanding alien technologies instinctively. Scientists discovered they could manipulate matter and energy with thought alone. Even civilian populations displayed abilities that transcended biological norms. The transformation wasn't just physical or mental, it was spiritual. Humanity remembered its true history, buried beneath layers of genetic conditioning. They had been the vanguard, the ultimate warrior species that had once held dominion over a third of the galaxy. Their empire had been so powerful, so terrifying in its efficiency, that the combined might of all other civilizations had barely managed to defeat them. The exile to Earth hadn't been a punishment. It had been the only way to ensure the galaxy's survival. But the Corvins had shattered that delicate balance. They had awakened the sleeping giant. As Part 1 drew to a close, the alien armada launched its coordinated attack. Thousands of energy weapons discharged simultaneously, their combined power enough to crack a moon. But the beams never reached Earth's surface. They struck a barrier of pure willpower, generated by 8 billion awakened minds working in perfect synchronization. The transformation was complete. Humanity was no longer the confused, fragmented species that had sent out a desperate plea for help. They were something far more dangerous, a civilization that remembered how to wage war on a galactic scale. And they were angry. Hell unleashed. The energy beams from the combined alien fleet hung suspended in space, caught in a shimmering barrier that surrounded Earth like a soap bubble. Commander Sarah Chen, now something more than human, stood at the center of the Global Defense Command. Her consciousness expanded across the planet, connecting with every awakened human mind in a vast neural network that spanned continents. "Status report," she said, though the words were unnecessary. She could feel the answer through the collective consciousness that now bound humanity together. "Genetic reactivation at 100%, Dr. Vasquez reported. Her own transformation had enhanced her scientific abilities beyond measure. She could now perceive quantum fluctuations with her naked eye and calculate stellar mechanics in her head. "The suppressor genes the Galactic Council implanted in our ancestors have completely broken down. We are what we once were." Chen nodded, accessing memories that weren't her own. Ancestral recollections passed down through dormant DNA. She saw the glory of the old Vanguard Empire, vast fleets that had once patrolled the stars, and technologies that made current galactic standards look primitive. She also saw its fall, the desperate alliance of races that had finally brought them down, and the decision to exile the survivors to a backwater world. "They tried to tame us," Chen murmured. "They thought isolation and genetic manipulation would make us forget. But trauma runs deeper than genes." The Corvin Admiral's image appeared on the main screen again, his earlier arrogance replaced by naked fear. "This is impossible. The Vanguard were destroyed. The historical records were written by the victors." Chen interrupted. "You wanted to conquer Earth. Instead, you've resurrection, something the galaxy spent millennia trying to forget. Your mistake, Admiral, was assuming we had truly changed. Around Earth, the awakened humans began their counteroffensive. But this wasn't the desperate scrambling of a besieged species. This was the methodical, terrifying efficiency of natural-born warriors reclaiming their heritage. In Australia, where Corvin ground forces had established a foothold, the transformation was most dramatic. Civilians who had been fleeing in terror hours before now turned to face their invaders. A construction worker named James Mitchell found himself understanding the quantum mechanics behind Corvin weapons. With a thought, he disrupted their energy matrices, causing their firearms to dissolve into component atoms. A schoolteacher named Maria Santos discovered she could manipulate gravitational fields. Corvin hover tanks found themselves crushed under their own weight as she casually adjusted local gravity constants. Children who had been hiding in shelters emerged with the ability to phase through solid matter, their young minds adapting fastest to the awakening. The Corvin ground commander sent a frantic message to his fleet: "Withdraw immediately. The humans are." His transmission cut off as the entire invasion force simply vanished. They hadn't been destroyed. They had been teleported back to their ships by a group of awakened humans who had spontaneously developed mastery over spatial manipulation. In space, the battle took on an even more surreal quality. Human minds, now operating at quantum processing speeds, began to decode and override alien technologies. The Thrakari hegemony, proud of their advanced cyber warfare capabilities, watched in horror as their entire fleet systems were hijacked by a teenager in Mumbai who found their encryption quaint. The Vorthan Collective, a hive-mind species that had never encountered a rival in psychic warfare, suddenly faced 8 billion interconnected human consciousnesses. The psychic feedback was so intense that the collective severed their mental links, each drone reverting to individual thought for the first time in their species' history. But it was the arrival of humanity's reconstructed fleet that truly demonstrated the transformation. Chen watched through the command center's displays as hangars and shipyards across Earth suddenly activated. These facilities had been empty moments before, but awakened human minds were now manifesting starships from pure energy and will. The designs weren't based on captured alien technology or human innovation. These were Vanguard vessels, pulled from genetic memory and given form through humanity's newfound mastery over matter and energy. Sleek, predatory shapes rose from Earth's surface. Dreadnoughts that dwarfed the largest Corvan battleships, fighters that moved like living creatures, and command carriers that pulsed with psionic energy. "This is what we were," Chen said, her voice carrying across the human collective consciousness. "This is what they feared. But we're not the same Vanguard that once terrorized the galaxy. We've spent generations learning compassion, cooperation, and restraint. We can be better than our ancestors." The Zanari's crystalline form materialized in the command center. "You speak of restraint while manifesting weapons that once burned entire systems. Your transformation is complete, but what will you do with this power?" Chen turned to face the alien observer. "We'll do what our ancestors couldn't. We'll offer a choice: surrender and coexistence, or continuation of a war they cannot win." The human fleet engaged the alien armada with surgical precision. Vanguard weapons, thought lost to history, proved as devastating as legend claimed. Corvan shields designed to withstand conventional energy weapons crumbled against attacks that operated on principles their scientists couldn't comprehend. The Thrakari's adaptive armor was useless against weapons that simply ignored the laws of physics. But humanity's true advantage wasn't technological. It was psychological. The Vanguard had been warriors without peer because they understood war at a fundamental level. They could predict enemy movements, exploit psychological weaknesses, and adapt tactics faster than any opponent could respond. A Vorthan dreadnought found itself trapped in a localized time dilation field, its crew experiencing days of subjective time, while only seconds passed outside. When the field collapsed, the ship surrendered immediately, its crew too psychologically traumatized to continue fighting. The Silence Bearers, mysterious entities that communicated through quantum entanglement, discovered that awakened humans could intercept and decode their thoughts. For a species that had maintained power through secrets and manipulation, the revelation was devastating. They withdrew from the battle entirely, retreating to the edge of the system. As the alien fleet's coordination crumbled, Shen opened a channel to all participating species. Her image appeared on their command screens, no longer quite human, but something that carried echoes of the Vanguard's ancient authority. "You came to witness Earth's destruction," she said. "Instead, you've witnessed its awakening. We are the children of the Vanguard, but we are not our ancestors. We offer you a choice. End this conflict now, and we can build something new together. Continue fighting, and we will end you." The Corvan admiral, his compound eyes reflecting defeat, was the first to respond. "What are your terms?" "Simple," Chen replied. "Recognition of Earth's sovereignty, reparations for the damage done, and most importantly, a new galactic accord, one based on mutual respect rather than fear." The Zanari's form pulsed with what might have been surprise. "You could conquer the galaxy. Why offer peace?" "Because we've learned something our ancestors never understood," Chen explained. "Strength without wisdom is meaningless. Power without purpose is empty. We were exiled to Earth as punishment, but that exile taught us what the Vanguard never knew: how to be more than warriors." One by one, the alien fleets powered down their weapons. The Corvan Empire, the Thrakari hegemony, even the enigmatic Silence Bearers, all recognized the futility of continuing the conflict. They had awakened an ancient power, but that power had chosen mercy over vengeance. In the aftermath, as diplomatic channels opened and a new galactic order began to take shape, the transformation of Earth became complete. Cities rebuilt themselves using matter manipulation technologies. Medical advances eliminated disease and aging as awakened humans understood biology at the quantum level. Energy became freely available as humans learned to tap into zero-point fields. But the most significant change was psychological. Humanity had faced extinction and discovered their true nature. They were the descendants of the galaxy's greatest warriors, but they had chosen to be its greatest builders instead. The genetic locks were broken, the suppressed memories restored, but humanity had integrated these with the values they had developed during their exile. The Zenari observed these changes with interest. "You are not what we expected," the crystalline being admitted. "The vanguard we remember would have conquered without hesitation. You have conquered through choosing not to conquer." Chen smiled, an expression that was now both human and something more. "Our ancestors were trapped by their own strength. They could only see the galaxy in terms of conquest and control. We see possibilities they never imagined." As Earth took its place as a major galactic power, the universe watched with a mixture of awe and apprehension. The sleeping giant had awakened, but instead of the rampage everyone feared, it had chosen to build bridges. The Corvan Empire became Earth's first interstellar trading partner. The Thrakari hegemony opened technological exchanges. Even the Silence Bearers, emerging from their self-imposed isolation, began to communicate openly for the first time in galactic history. The transformation of humanity served as a catalyst for change throughout the galaxy. Species that had lived in fear of each other began to cooperate. Ancient conflicts were reassessed in light of humanity's example. The very concept of power was redefined, not as the ability to destroy, but as the ability to create and protect. Chen stood in the rebuilt Global Defense Command, now renamed the Global Harmony Center. The screens that had once shown tactical data now displayed trade routes, cultural exchanges, and joint exploration missions. The desperate plea for help that had started everything seemed like a lifetime ago. "Commander," Dr. Vasquez approached, her enhanced features glowing with barely contained excitement. "We've received a proposal from the Galactic Council. They want Earth to head a new initiative, the Vanguard Peace Corps. They say our unique perspective makes us ideal mediators for interspecies conflicts." Chen chuckled at the irony. The most feared warriors in galactic history, now being asked to wage peace. Our ancestors would be confused. Or perhaps proud, Vasquez suggested. "We've achieved what they never could. Respect without fear, power without oppression." As the sun set over New Geneva, casting golden light through the command center's windows, Chen reflected on humanity's journey. They had called for help and received annihilation. They had faced extinction and discovered transformation. They had awakened as warriors and chosen to be peacemakers. The galaxy would never be the same. Earth had unleashed hell, but it was a hell of a different kind. The hell of confronting one's true nature and choosing to be better. The Vanguard had returned, not as conquerors, but as guardians of a new galactic age. And in the depths of space, the Zenari watched and recorded. For the first time in their ancient history, they had witnessed something unprecedented. A species that had faced its darkest nature and emerged into the light. Humanity had called for aid. They had gotten annihilation. And from that crucible, they had forged something entirely new. A future where strength served compassion, where power enabled peace, and where the greatest warriors in galactic history became its greatest hope. The stars, which had once looked down on a desperate Earth, now shone on a world that had found its true purpose. The transformation was complete, but the journey had just begun.